everyone, this is Mindy Egan and welcome back to the My Favorite Things YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be making a tropical background using the Watercolor Wash Square Stencil. I think these are really great stencils that came out. There are three of them, the square, the rectangle, and the freeform, I believe it is. I am working with the square orientation. Now I am using just a white piece of cardstock that's 4¼ by 5½, and this is 80 pounds. And I'm using my Make Art station to hold my stencil in place with the magnets. Then once I place the stencil on top, I am masking off the bottom portion of the stencil. I want to create kind of a tropical background, so I want to have some beautiful colors in the background and then the ocean on the bottom. So I started off by ink blending dried marigold and squeezed lemonade, and I am using my regular distress inks today. I have not used my distress inks in a very long time. I tend to go for the oxides because they're so easy to blend, but I forgot how vibrant the colors are with the regular distress inks. So after I have my tropical sky blended, I'm removing that Post-it tape, and then I'm going to place it right on top. So I'm going to mask off my sunset there. And then for my ocean, I am going to be using salvaged patina, which is kind of the lighter color. And then I will bring in peacock feathers towards the very top where that Post-it tape is. So it's going to kind of transition from darker to lighter. My peacock feathers came in a little strong. These are all fairly new inks because I got the full-size pads, so it was fairly strong. So I came back in with the salvaged patina to kind of help blend that better a little bit. Then I'm removing that Post-it tape. I can move the magnets to take off the stencil, and the front part of my card is done, so I'm going to work on an image for this. I'm going to keep this card fairly simple. I'm just choosing one image off of the Summer Safari stamp set. I wanted the palm tree. I thought this would look really cool as a scene to have that palm tree in there. And while you can definitely color these with any coloring medium that you prefer, I decided I'm going to just ink blend. So I'm stamping this down in Versamark ink onto 80-pound white cardstock. And I did stamp it twice because it is a new stamp and I forgot to prep it, so I want to make sure I have a really good impression. And then I'm going to sprinkle on some clear embossing powder. That's going to trap the white of the cardstock underneath. So after I tap off the excess powder, I'm going to bring in my heat tool and just melt that embossing powder. I want to make sure my heat gun is also really nice and hot so it melts quickly. For the ink blending of my tree, I am going to be using just any blender brush that you have, or even sponge dabbers would work really well. And this is a Twisted Citron. And then for the trunk of my palm tree, I am going to use a Vintage Photo. And what's going to happen is that the embossing powder is going to resist my ink. So a very classic and fun technique, just the embossed resist. And it also makes for really quick coloring when it comes to the images. So then I'm going to just buff off any excess ink that's sitting on top of that powder. And I am going to use the coordinating die to die cut this out. So once I have it lined up in place, I'm going to hold it down with some Post-it tape and run that through my die cut machine. Now there are a lot of great sentiments off of the Summer Safari stamp set, but I really loved this simple one off of Bunch of Happiness. And it's just hi, hey, hello, or something like that. I can't remember the exact order, but it's a really great sentiment, just something quick to send to a friend. And I'm using black cardstock that's really going to pop off of my colorful background. So I prepped that with an anti-static powder tool. I'm inking it up in a white pigment ink, and then I'm going to sprinkle on white embossing powder. Now I have a little bit of a story to go with this because you're going to notice that my card looks a little different at the end compared to the pictures that I showed. And the reason that that happened is after I filmed my video, I set everything down. It was just laying on my desk and I stepped away for a minute to kind of take a break, walk away. And my spray bottle was sitting on my table. And when I walked back into my kitchen, which is where I craft, my son was standing there with his hands over his ears. And he's not very good at communicating because he's autistic, but he knows when he's being naughty. And typically, if his hands are over his ears when I walk into the room, that means he did something. And sure enough, he had gotten a hold of my spray bottle and he sprayed all over my table and he sprayed my computer. thankfully, I have a protective overlay on my keyboard and also a screen protector, so my computer is fine. But my background had some really weird water spots. And normally I love water spots, but his were really just oddly placed because it was on accident. So I did go ahead and sprinkle some more water spots on here because that distress ink reacts with water. So that's why it's going to look just a little bit different than the pictures. Now, if you take away anything from this video today, I hope it's going to be please hide your spray bottles. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you again soon.